I like to hold myself to a higher standard. So getting out of there with a decision or just even taking the guy down and doing the old lay and pray doesn't really cut it for me. I like to be an exciting fighter, keep the fans into it, and keep the ball rolling.
The AllStar app, the #1 app in the business. UFC, Bellator, One Championship, PFL, and more. Get the app right now. Link in description. All right, let's jump into your UFC debut first, man. You picked up your first knockout win as a professional. You know, when you study Rojo and game plan for him, did you and your coaches foresee a knockout?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think we thought more of it as like we were gonna get a submission or just have like a dominant unanimous decision performance. But I was really going in there thinking either a first or second round submission.
Oh, really? Did you
Yeah.
see like certain holes in his like maybe in his takedown game or in his ground game?
A little bit. I mean, he seemed like a weaker fighter on the ground than me. I felt like that was more my strong suit for that fight. And then on the feet, I thought we were pretty much neck and neck, like kind of the same. He was tough, and then I feel like my hands have gotten better over the years for boxing, but still more of a dominant grappler type of fighter.
The size difference, did you feel it when you kind of got into the clinch or anything like that?
Yeah, a little bit, especially on the fence. Right before I got that first takedown, just being able to hold him, get the body lock, and then pull him back. Even though he grabbed the fence a couple times on that one, but I was able to finally get it towards the end of that round.
In the last pay-per-view, in I think yeah, the Crute and Minifield fight, Crute was going for the takedown and Minifield grabbed the fence and they took the point away, and I was
Oh,
just like applauding that because I think fence grabs is something that you could take the point away, right? What is your thoughts on that?
yeah, I think there should be no warning on that one. You all know going into the fight beforehand, you're not allowed to grab the fence. That's like one of the main rules. So I feel like that should just be a point right off the bat. It's not like you can't accidentally grab the fence.
Nah, nah, no. You know, anybody that's been around a cage, you know what I mean, that you're grabbing for your life, right? If you're
Yeah, it's because you don't want to get taken down.
yeah, for sure. Did you have more jitters before your Contender Series fight or before the UFC debut?
I think before my UFC debut, for sure, 100%, because just the arena with the crowd. I mean, we walked in there Friday evening for the weigh-ins. I mean, I walked in, I looked up, I was like, holy crap, this place is huge. Like it was nothing I experienced before. Like where the Contender Series fight was in the Apex, so it was more of like a closed-in venue, almost like just a bigger sparring session, kind of. I would compare it to.
What was I don't want to say easier, but what felt easier once you got into the cage?
Um, I don't know. I think maybe the Contender Series fight I felt got easier because I feel like I kind of took more control of that right off the bat. Once I realized I could stand up and strike in that fight, I kind of kept it there with a few takedowns here and there, and then but the debut I think was a little more give and go in the first round. You know, I got hit a couple times in the first and second round, and then going into the second round, I felt a lot more comfortable though.
Marcelo, man, he was much more experienced than you, and but you faced a guy in Ray Trujillo who had like 50 fights when you only had 3. How did that fight benefit you moving forward with your career?
I think that just helped out with like the confidence. I'd say with this guy has over 50 fights to my 3 professional fights, so just knowing I've been in there with someone like that before, even though he was on, I think a pretty solid losing streak, it was still he has ton more experience than me. Definitely way more comfortable in the cage, and then I feel like that might have helped a little bit for this fight because I think Marcelo had like 25 pro fights or something heading into that one, so he had 3 4 times the amount of experience as me.
When you look at an opponent, right, that has like that much more experience than you, do you just look at it as someone that you can study more? They just have more footage that you can look through?
Yeah, I mean it's obviously great for that, looking through footage, and then it's just I guess studying the film and then just knowing like okay, I'm a little behind them in the octagon time or cage time, but I think with all the time I've spent in the gym with other pros and other amateur fighters in my career, that I feel like that's where I've gained kind of the balance to balance it out. Where they've had more fights, but I feel like my training in the room from when I was a kid has kind of evened me out with them.
At what age did you start training?
I think I was 13 when I started
Wow.
doing jujitsu.
Wow. Did you even think like at 13 years old that you'd be fighting in the UFC? Did you believe
No,
that?
no, I had no idea. But then I started like going down to the fights in AC with the guys from the gym. They'd fight down there. I'd go down and watch them. And then probably when I would say about like 15, I was like, oh, I want to fight in the UFC. Like that was my goal.
Your left ear, it looked like it was about to explode after the fight. Did you have to drain that thing?
No, it's
Oh,
still the same.
yeah.
It's been hard for 6 years now, so there's no going away with this one.
Okay, okay. Because it was pretty red, you know what I mean, after the but you probably got hit in
Yeah,
there a few times.
in the front it cuts open and always bleeds. So
Okay.
it's always fun.
Alright, now, you made your pro debut in 2019, late 2019, and then a few months later, COVID hit, right? You had a really good performance. How did you handle the lockdowns, and what did you do to stay active so once you got another fight offer, you could just get back into it?
So I kind of just I still worked out maybe once a day or whatever, just in my garage at home because there was no gyms open. So I was just trying to do something. And then what was it? Probably about in July, I started the Fire Academy up in Jersey City. So that was another 5 or 6 months, I think, until that was over with. So I really kind of was absent from like MMA training for probably about 5 or 6 months until mid to late December of that year, and then just getting back into it slowly.
How was that getting back into it after not having no training at all?
It was different, but I felt good, almost like revived. Like I got the not that I was burning out, but like I was training 6 days a week, 7 days a week since I was what 13, 14 years old, and then I had like what was it 9 months off. I wasn't really I was in the gym maybe twice during that time. So coming back was definitely like more motivated, I think, to get back to that level to where I was to reach the same goals that I had before the lockdowns.
Maybe let your body recover a little bit as well, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's like getting the blood back in you, refreshed.
Yeah, yeah. And you're undefeated, 12 fight win streak going back to your amateur days. Is there a fight where, in your career where you like overcame the most adversity, like when you look back at it?
Um, I don't know. I'd say probably my first pro fight or my first amateur fight, one of those two. Because my first amateur fight, I started out pretty bad. I mean, the nerves got to me. I went in the first round, took a couple bad shots at takedowns. I think I ended up in a couple not horrible positions, but it wasn't like I wanted to be. And then in my pro debut, I I think my striking wasn't really there. I wasn't throwing a right hand at all, and I kind of just snuck in a rear naked choke at the end of the first round. I was able to knock him down and then jump on that. So that one I feel like I was losing the first round of my first amateur fight, and then it was probably a close round in my first pro fight, and then I just came back at the end of that one and got the finish.
Have you ever felt like a desperation in a fight?
No, no desperation. I always felt like I was mostly in control. After those first few minutes, and then after that, it's kind of just sticking with the game plan and listening to the coaches.
Now you're returning, man, April 22nd. We still got a few weeks. Are you in cap yet?
I usually do 10 weeks, so I just started on Monday, 2 days ago. So today's day three, really. But I like to do the 10 week diet and 10 week camp, just get my body adjusted and get the weight down and everything like that.
Do you walk around pretty big?
Not typically. I think this off camp, I've been the lightest I probably have been in a while. I've been maintaining between like 62 and 67, I'd say, right around there. I try not to get over 170 because I feel like after that, it's like not a point of no return, but it just makes it way more of a struggle.
How are you formulating your training camp? Where are you working? Who are you working with?
I'm working with Kurt Pellegrino still, so he's still coaching me. I'm working with Mickey Red, my boxing coach. Dan O'Cone, still got him as my wrestling coach, and then I've been wrestling like 2 or 3 days a week over at one of the high schools near me with my girlfriend's brother, Anthony Santinello. So he's been really helping me out big time.
How is it going to a high school when you're a UFC fighter to trade?
It's good. I mean, it's definitely really something humbling because he's great. I mean, I still can't beat him. So he just kicks my ass all the time and but he's been helping me out a lot. So it's definitely great going there and getting the work in. So I've been enjoying it.
Yeah, I've heard a few UFC fighters. I've interviewed a few of them that go to their high schools or some high school nearby to wrestle because those guys never stop. They never get
Yeah,
tired.
no, there's nothing like a wrestling practice. It's like a 80, 90 minute grind. It's just nonstop. you don't have an MMA practice where you're going nonstop for 80 or 90 minutes. It's just unmatched. I think it really helps you get that grind feel and just get that mental edge for the fight.
Since signing with the UFC, when I talk to fighters, they talk about like, oh, I added this to it because I have a little bit more money or I have a little bit more time to train. Have you incorporated anything new to your lifestyle as a fighter?
Not really. I mean, I've been sticking with what I've been doing. I haven't really changed much. If it's not broke, don't fix it. That's the motto I like to go by. So as long as everything's working, just keep the path that I'm on right now.
You're facing William Gomis. I hope I'm saying his name right. What are your thoughts on the matchup and the fighting style that he possesses?
I think it's a good matchup. I mean, I think it's another one of these striker versus grappler matchups. He's what is it? I think he's 11-2. He's a good kickboxer out of France. I mean, I think they had a lot of good strikers over there. So that's what I'll be looking for most out of him. He's probably gonna try to keep the fight on his feet, work on his kicks and all that stuff. So that's what I'll be working on this camp, most likely, and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's pretty tall for the division. He's 6 foot, and but you guys have very similar reach though, which is interesting.
Yeah, I think I have a little bit of a longer reach for my height, 5'9". So
Yeah.
I think my reach is actually a little bit better for my size.
Have you faced anybody that tall?
Yeah, I think I had two or three other fights where the guys were pretty big, between like 6'1" and 6'3" maybe. But I mean, it's just annoying. They're long. You got to get in on them. But I mean, it is what it is.
Do you know the location for this next fight? It doesn't seem like it's been determined yet.
No, I'm not sure yet. I gotta wait till they release it. They haven't really said anything either.
Are you hoping it's in Vegas, or do you hope it's like of course, most likely you want to be in front of fans, right?
Yeah, that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to be in front of fans and keep it somewhere in an arena, but at the end of the day, it's their call. So if it's back in Vegas at their apex, it is what it is.
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
smaller cage. I fought there before, so
Have you heard anything about any shows in the Northeast?
I haven't. It'd be nice if they had some more back up here, like
Yeah,
Boston or Philly again, even Newark, New Jersey. That'd be nice, right
yeah,
home. But yeah, I haven't heard anything about it.
yeah. It'd be nice to be in front of your home crowd. I just talked to Jack Jenkins. I mean, he's another featherweight prospect, just like yourself.
Mhm.
He just made his debut last weekend, and he got the fight in his home
In
country.
Australia,
Yeah,
right?
in Australia. So
Yeah, yeah. I watched the fight. That was a good fight.
yeah, it was nice for him. You know what I mean? I like to see you do it too. You know what I mean? Like it just seems like they
Yeah,
love the apex, man. I don't know why.
I don't know, but I hope they start kind of fading away from it and getting back to how it used to be. 'Cause back whenever, I mean, you probably know too. Back before COVID, it was different location every week. So it's like also nice to get to see around the world, around the states, go to places you wouldn't really think of going.
Where do you want to go outside of the U.S.?
Uh, I mean, I haven't really thought about fighting outside the U.S. yet, but if I had to pick, probably somewhere in Europe. Europe seems like a fun time. It seems like the fans over there get really into it. So I think that'd be a bucket list in the future.
In your first fight in the UFC, you got a knockout, your first knockout win. What are you expecting out of yourself in this fight?
I'm expecting another finish out of myself. I mean, I like to hold myself to a higher standard. So getting out of there with a decision or just even taking the guy down and doing the old lay and pray out doesn't really cut it for me. I like to be an exciting fighter, keep the fans into it, and keep the ball rolling.
April 22nd, UFC Fight Night. Go in the descriptions, download the AllStar app. Thank you, Francis, so much for the time and all the best in your second fight. And hopefully, we'll do another one of these real soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.